Have you ever wondered what happens to the people we mistreat? Sometimes, life has a way of bringing back the past in ways we least expect. This is a shocking story of a high school bully and the quiet kid he tormented, only for fate to bring them face to face years later. Stay till the end to see what happened when they met again. Trust me, you won't believe how things unfolded. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe for more eye-opening and life-changing stories. The school bell rang, echoing through the crowded hallways of Westwood High. Students rushed to their classes, chatting and laughing. But for Liam, the sound of the bell only meant one thing: survival. Liam was the quiet kid, the one who sat at the back of the class, rarely speaking unless called upon. He was intelligent, kind, and never caused trouble. But that didn't matter in high school. To Dylan, the school's most feared bully, Liam was the perfect target. Small, shy, and different. Every day, Dylan and his crew made Liam's life miserable. It wasn't just the name-calling or the cruel pranks. It was the way Dylan made sure everyone knew Liam was weak. And today was no different. Liam quietly placed his books on his desk as the teacher prepared for class. But before he could sit down, a foot shot out in front of him. Bam! Liam crashed onto the floor, his books flying everywhere. Laughter erupted around the room. Dylan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, a smug grin on his face. "Oops, didn't see you there, genius," he mocked. Liam didn't respond. He simply picked up his books and sat down. He had learned that fighting back only made things worse. But Dylan wasn't done. He crumpled a piece of paper and threw it at Liam's head. "Hey nerd, say something, or are you too smart to speak?" The teacher walked in, cutting the laughter short. Liam exhaled, relieved the torment was over, for now. The cafeteria was another battlefield. Liam always sat alone, hoping to eat in peace. But Dylan had other plans. With a smirk, Dylan strutted over and snatched Liam's lunch tray. "Look at this. Healthy food. No wonder you're so weak." He dumped the entire meal onto the floor, then laughed as if he had just told the funniest joke. The worst part, no one did anything. Some students laughed nervously. Others looked away, pretending not to notice. Liam clenched his fists under the table. "Just one more year," he told himself. "One more year, and I'm out of here." But Dylan wasn't satisfied. "Come on, aren't you going to do something? Or are you just going to sit there like a loser?" Liam locked eyes with him for the first time. Something was different. There was no fear in his gaze, just quiet determination. Dylan didn't like that. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood today," he sneered, walking away. But Liam knew the truth. Dylan was afraid. Afraid of the kind of strength that didn't need violence. The months dragged on, and Liam endured every prank, every shove, and every cruel word. But there was one day Dylan would never forget. The day everything changed. It was the school's talent show. Liam had secretly been preparing for weeks. He stepped onto the stage, his hands shaking. This was his moment. And then, it happened. As soon as Liam opened his mouth to sing, a loud noise echoed through the auditorium. A bucket of paint crashed down from above, drenching Liam from head to toe. Gasps filled the room. Someone screamed. And then laughter. Dylan and his gang were on the floor, laughing so hard they could barely breathe. Liam stood there, frozen. His dreams, his moment, ruined. He looked at the audience. Even the teachers seemed unsure of what to do. Something inside him broke. He took a deep breath, turned, and walked off the stage. He never looked back. That was the last time anyone saw Liam at Westwood High. The next day, he was gone. Years passed. High school was nothing more than a distant memory. Dylan had moved on, built a career, and lived his life. He had almost forgotten about the quiet kid he used to torment. Until one fateful day, Dylan found himself in a desperate situation, standing outside an office building, nervously adjusting his tie. He had lost everything: his job, his home, his dignity. And now, he was here, hoping for a second chance. Dylan Carter sat in the plush waiting area of the corporate office, his hands clammy as he clutched his resume. The past few years had not been kind to him. Once a confident man with a steady job and a comfortable life, he had lost everything: his position, his savings, even his dignity. Life had humbled him in ways he never imagined. And now, this interview was his last hope. "Mr. Dylan Carter, the CEO will see you now." Dylan exhaled sharply, stood up, and straightened his wrinkled tie. He forced a smile as he followed the secretary down the hallway. His heart pounded against his ribs, but he told himself this was just another job interview, until he walked into the office. Sitting behind an elegant mahogany desk was a face he never expected to see again. The quiet kid, Liam. Dylan's throat went dry. The air in the room grew thick with an unspoken history. His mind raced back to high school. The countless times he had shoved Liam into lockers, tripped him in hallways, humiliated him in front of crowds. But the man sitting before him was no longer the timid, helpless kid he used to torment. Liam looked powerful. He was dressed in a tailored suit, his posture strong, his gaze piercing. Confidence radiated from him. This was not the Liam Dylan remembered. Liam leaned back in his chair, studying Dylan with an unreadable expression. "Dylan Carter," he said finally, his voice smooth but firm. "I wasn't expecting to see you here." Dylan swallowed hard. He felt like a child again, standing in front of the principal after getting caught pulling a cruel prank. I didn't know you were," Dylan stammered, but Liam raised a hand, silencing him. "That's the interesting thing about life," Liam mused. "It has a funny way of bringing people back together." Dylan forced a laugh, but it came out awkward. He was at the mercy of the very person he had bullied for years. Liam picked up a folder on his desk, flipping through it slowly. "You're applying for the managerial position in our marketing department," he said. Dylan nodded quickly. "Yes, I have a lot of experience in marketing." Liam held up a hand again. "I've already read your resume, Dylan. I know who you are professionally, but I'm more interested in who you are as a person now." Dylan felt a bead of sweat roll down his back. He had expected questions about his experience, his skills, but this was something different. "Tell me, Dylan," Liam continued, tapping his fingers on the desk. "Do you remember me?" The question hit Dylan like a punch to the gut. Of course, he remembered. But how was he supposed to answer that? If he admitted it, he was acknowledging the torment he had inflicted on Liam for years. If he denied it, he would be lying, and Liam would know. Dylan lowered his gaze. "Yeah, I remember." Liam nodded slowly, as if expecting that answer. "I thought so." There was a long silence between them. Dylan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Look, Liam," he began, but Liam leaned forward, cutting him off. "Do you know why I left Westwood High before senior year?" Liam asked, his voice calm but pointed. Dylan hesitated. He had never really thought about it. He had just assumed Liam had transferred, or his parents had moved. "No," Dylan admitted. Liam exhaled through his nose, a faint smirk on his lips. "It was because of you." Dylan's stomach twisted. The bullying, the humiliation, it became too much, Liam continued. "I couldn't take it anymore. So my parents pulled me out and sent me to a different school. I had to rebuild everything from scratch. My confidence, my trust in people, my entire life." Dylan felt a lump in his throat. He had never realized the true impact of his actions. "And yet," Liam added, tilting his head, "here we are. You were sitting across from me, in need of a job, and me deciding your future." Dylan clenched his fists. His pride told him to defend himself, to say he was just a kid back then, that it wasn't that serious. But deep down, he knew that was a lie. He looked Liam in the eyes and saw something unexpected. Not anger, not revenge, but something deeper. "I was a terrible person back then," Dylan admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I was cruel, and I never thought about how it affected you. I don't have an excuse, but I do have regret." Liam raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Dylan took a deep breath. "I lost everything, Liam. My career, my stability, even my self-respect. Life has humbled me in ways I never expected, and maybe I deserved it." Liam sat back, tapping a pen against the desk. "People change, Dylan," he said finally, "but regret alone isn't enough. What matters is what you do with it." Dylan nodded, feeling an unfamiliar sting in his chest. For the first time, he wasn't just facing the consequences of his past, he was acknowledging them. Liam stood up and walked over to the window, looking out at the city below. "Tell me, Dylan," he said over his shoulder, "if I were the same person you bullied in high school, what do you think I would do right now?" Dylan hesitated. "You'd probably turn me away." Liam turned back, meeting Dylan's gaze. "And if I were still that scared, timid kid, do you think you would have apologized today?" Dylan swallowed hard. He knew the answer to that. "No." Liam studied him for a long moment. Then, without breaking eye contact, he picked up Dylan's resume and ripped it in half. Dylan's heart sank. This is it. I blew my chance. But then Liam walked over to the desk, pulled out another sheet of paper, and slid it toward Dylan. That, Liam said, nodding at the document, is an offer letter. Dylan blinked in shock. You're giving me the job? Liam crossed his arms. Under one condition. Dylan's breath caught in his throat. Anything. Liam leaned in. Prove to me that you're not the same person you were back then. Work hard. Treat people with respect. And most importantly, pay it forward. Dylan's hands trembled as he picked up the paper. This was more than just a job. It was a second chance. And for the first time in his life, he vowed not to waste it. Dylan Carter stared at the offer letter in his hands, his heart pounding in his chest. He had walked into this office expecting a standard interview, only to come face to face with Liam, the same quiet kid he had bullied in high school. And now, against all odds, Liam was offering him a second chance. But was it really a second chance, or just another test? Dylan lifted his eyes to Liam, still processing what had just happened. Why? He finally asked. Why would you give me this opportunity after everything I did to you? Liam leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. Because people can change, but I need to see for myself whether you actually have. Dylan nodded slowly, his throat dry. Then I won't let you down. Liam didn't smile. He simply extended his hand. Dylan hesitated, then shook it firmly. We'll see. Walking into the office building, as an employee instead of a desperate job seeker, felt surreal. Dylan adjusted his tie, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. He had never worked under someone he had wronged before. His new role as a marketing manager meant he had to interact with employees on all levels. And that was where his first real challenge began. On his very first day, Dylan met Mason, one of the junior employees. The moment they were introduced, Mason narrowed his eyes. I know you, Mason said bluntly. Dylan stiffened. Oh, have we met before? Mason scoffed. No, but I know your type. Arrogant guys who act like they're better than everyone else. I've worked under managers like you before. They take all the credit and treat their team like garbage. Dylan felt a wave of shame hit him. That was exactly the kind of person he used to be, but not anymore. I get why you'd think that, Dylan admitted. But I'm here to prove I'm not that guy. Mason didn't look convinced. We'll see about that. Dylan knew winning people's trust wouldn't be easy. This was his real test. Over the next few weeks, Dylan threw himself into his work. He stayed late, helped his team, and tried his best to show he had changed. But then came the moment that tested everything. One evening, Dylan received an email from a competing company offering him a higher-paying position. We've seen your work. We're impressed. We'd like to offer you a managerial role at double your current salary. Let us know your decision. Dylan's hands tightened around his phone. This was a golden opportunity. He could walk away from his past, start fresh in a place where no one knew who he used to be. No tests, no judgments. For a moment, his old self whispered, "Take it. No one changes overnight. You don't owe anyone anything." But then, another voice, the one he had ignored for years, spoke up. Running away won't change who you are. Staying and proving yourself will. Dylan took a deep breath and deleted the email. One day, Mason approached Dylan with a problem. The client changed their requirements last minute. Mason explained, "The whole campaign needs to be redone. We're already behind schedule, and I don't think we can pull this off in time." Dylan rubbed his chin. His old self would have blamed the team and pressured them to work harder. But now, then let's stay late and figure out together, Dylan said. Mason blinked. You're actually going to help? Dylan nodded. Of course. We're in this as a team. That night, Dylan stayed with the team, working until 2 a.m. He didn't bark orders. He didn't take shortcuts. He led by example. And when the campaign was finally completed, Mason gave him an approving nod. Maybe I was wrong about you, he admitted. Dylan felt something he hadn't in years, pride. Not in himself, but in the fact that he was finally earning respect the right way. One afternoon, Liam called Dylan into his office. How do you think you're doing? Liam asked, his hands folded on the desk. Dylan exhaled. I think I'm doing my best, and I hope I'm proving that I've changed. Liam nodded slowly, but then slid a file across the desk. There's something I need to tell you, Liam said. Dylan's stomach twisted as he opened the folder. Inside was a document with his name on it. But it wasn't from this company. You were offered a position at another firm last month, Liam said. Why didn't you take it? Dylan felt his chest tighten. How did you? I have my ways, Liam said. I wanted to see if you'd take the easy way out. And you didn't. Dylan swallowed hard. You tested me? Liam nodded. I had to know if you were serious about changing. Dylan felt a wave of emotions. Anger, relief, pride. But more than anything, he felt gratitude. So did I pass? Dylan asked with a small smile. Liam smirked. Let's just say, I don't regret hiring you. For the first time, Dylan realized something. This wasn't about passing a test. This was about becoming someone he could respect. And for the first time in his life, he truly did. Life has a way of bringing people back into our lives, not to haunt us, but to give us a chance to make things right. Dylan's story reminds us that people can change, but only if they choose to. Sometimes, we're forced to face the past we tried to forget. But those moments, they define who we truly are. Would you have given Dylan a second chance? Let us know in the comments. If you find this video interesting, kindly leave a like. And if you love stories like this, make sure to subscribe for more powerful real-life stories that will leave you speechless. See you in the next one.